In this episode, we'll look at how to run a profitable Google ad campaign for your business. I do a lot of audits on Google ad campaigns at my company, Yo Media. So for the last decade, I've run a multi-million dollar digital marketing agency here in Australia, and I've seen it all when it comes to Google ads. And after auditing dozens and dozens of campaigns and accounts, and also successfully running dozens and dozens of campaigns, I noticed that people who come to us needing help make the same mistakes over and over again. And they're very easily avoidable. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you exactly what those mistakes are, how you can avoid them, and how you can get the most out of your Google Ads campaign. So let's dive in. As a business owner, you know how important Google Ads are. You get to show up when your potential customers are searching for you online. So a couple of important things to remember when you're running a campaign. About 10% of people will click on a Google ad. So, of all the people searching for a particular keyword, let's take lawyers in Melbourne. 10% of those people, when they search lawyers Melbourne, will click on a Google ad. The other 90% will click an organic search result. So, the organic search results, which sit underneath the ads, are still, in my opinion, the best form of search marketing you can do because they have the most credibility. People know that you can't pay to be the number one organic search result. And so it has a ton of credibility. Most people, 30% of people will click the first organic search result, about 20% will click the second, and about 10% will click the third. So you've got 60% of people clicking the top 3 organic search results. The rest of that is spread amongst the other organic search results, and then 10% will click an ad. So with that in mind, you want to make sure that when you are running ads, that your ad stands out and gives the user the best incentive to click on your ad. The people that tend to click on Google ads are also further down the buying cycle. So they tend to be people that are at that end of consideration stage or the start of the decision stage of their buying cycle. So they're aware of their problem. They've already searched for what the solutions are to that problem, and now they're just looking for a business to transact with or to help solve that problem. So they're problem aware. They've done their research and now they're just looking to transact. And they're typically the people that will click an ad because they know it's advertising. Like we all know an ad is advertising. So a lot of the time we won't click on it. We'll go down to the organic because we know that has more credibility. But when you're kind of ready to rock and roll, a lot of people will click an ad. What are the most common mistakes that I see people make when running a Google ad campaign or when they try and DIY their own Google ad campaign? Well, the first one is you've got to set clear goals for your campaigns. So I'll dive into the tips first. Here are the tips to running a really profitable Google ad campaign. Set clear goals. Understand what it is you want to get out of Google ads. Do you want more customers? Do you want just more leads? If so, how many leads do you want? Do you want more customers? And if so, how many more customers do you want? How much do you want additional revenue? How much additional revenue do you want? What is the goal of the campaign? Because you're investing money into that. You need to understand what you're going to get out of that as a return on that investment. You're not just doing it for fun or to donate money to Google. God knows they make enough. I think they make about $40 billion in revenue from their ads every 90 days. It's a lot of cash. Pretty sure. Double check that stat, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. Set clear goals. Understand what you want to get out of it. So if it is a number of leads, if you're like, I want to get 10 extra leads every month from my business, well, think to yourself, how much am I prepared to pay for those leads? What is my cost per lead maximum going to be? Am I willing to pay $100 per lead, $50 per lead, $1,000 per lead? Work it out. And the best way to work that out is to understand what's the lifetime value of your customer. How much is a customer worth to your business on average every time they transact? And then how many leads does it take to get a customer? So for example, if your customers make you $10,000 per sale on average over their lifetime, and it takes you, say, three leads to get a customer, then you could be prepared to spend up to whatever. If you make, I don't know, let's say 20% margin on that. So you make $2,000 profit from a $10,000 sale. How much of that $2,000 are you willing to give away to purchase that customer? So if you are prepared to pay, let's say $1,000 for that customer, and it takes you 3 leads to get a customer, then you're paying $333 per lead to get a customer. So you're happy as long as your cost per lead is below $333, it's going to come in profitable. So you need to set clear goals. That's the first thing. Second thing is you need to understand what it is your customers are searching for. So you want to target the right keywords. There's a bunch of tools out there that you can do to research the keywords that your customers are searching for. I've mentioned them in previous podcasts. There's SEMrush, there's Ahrefs, or there's good old Google Ads Planner. With Google Ads Planner, that's probably the best source, in my opinion, of data relating to those keywords. However, you need to have already invested a bit of money with Google before they'll give you access to that data. Otherwise, they'll just give you a range of data. So if you're a lawyer in Melbourne and you want to know how many people search Lawyers Melbourne, but you've never run a Google Ads campaign, they'll probably give you a range of between 1,000 and 10,000. Whereas if you spend a bit of cash with them and you have access to their enhanced data, it's probably around 3,200 people a month. So you'll get really exact numbers. That said, if there's 1,000 to 10,000 people a month searching for a keyword, go after it. It's probably a good keyword. So you've got to target the right keywords. A note on keyword targeting. There's 3 types of, well, actually, I think there's 2 types now. No, there's 3 types. There's 3 types of keyword matches. You can do broad match, which says, hey, anybody who searches anything broadly related to this keyword, show my ad. You've got phrase match, which is anybody that searches a keyword with these words in it, show my ad. For example, let's say you're targeting personal injury lawyers, Melbourne. And somebody searches, who are the best personal injury lawyers in Melbourne? Or how do I find a good personal injury lawyer? And that person happens to be in Melbourne whilst doing that search. Your ad's going to trigger because you're matching the phrases within a particular search to that keyword that you're targeting. Phrase matches is good because it says, hey, don't just match me with anything broadly related to this. Like, for example, with lawyers, it could be if you're targeting the keyword personal injury lawyers Melbourne and someone searches for, how do I complete a law assignment for, University of Melbourne or something like that, like a completely unrelated keyword, your ad could trigger and it could cause a click, which would cost you money. So when it comes to broad match, that's probably the first mistake I see a lot of people make is they just go after all these broadly matched keywords. They think that casting the net wider is going to get them a better result. And what generally happens is your budget just gets chewed up by irrelevant clicks. And so you've got no money left over to target the people that you actually want to target. So back to the keywords, the third type of keyword. So you've got broad match, phrase match, and then you have exact match. Exact match is only show my ad when this exact keyword is searched. It's more of an advanced strategy. I don't recommend it straight up, especially if you're sort of trying to DIY this, because you're not going to be able to anticipate every single keyword exactly what your customers are going to search for. We can't. We still have to go phrase match and just look at what's coming through, because sometimes when you leave it a little bit open with phrase match, you can start to get some really interesting data of what people are searching for. So you got to target the right keywords. Another thing on keyword selection is ensure that the keywords that you're targeting have some kind of commercial intent. It's okay to target information-based keywords. So people who may be trying to find out what the solution is to a problem, but they're not yet at that transaction stage. It's okay to target those people. They're better targeted with organic search traffic or an SEO campaign, because a lot of those people aren't yet ready to buy. So they may click your ad, but you're not going to see a great return from it because they're not yet ready to buy. However, on the flip side of that is if you can demonstrate and give them the solution to their problem and help them understand that solution, there is a chance that they're more likely to go with you. But as I said, you can achieve that result with organic search. And because most people will click an organic search result when they're in that consideration stage or that research stage, they're more likely to click an organic search result rather than a Google ad. You can get that traffic without having to pay Google ads fees. So you want to target those keywords that have commercial intent. And a great example is just personal injury lawyers Melbourne. It's very clear that somebody's looking for a personal injury lawyer who's based in Melbourne. It's a commercial intent keyword. That's a great one to target with your Google ads. The other thing is just set up the location correctly. So don't target the whole of Australia unless you want to sell to everybody in Australia. That's going to be very expensive. Pick a nice local area that you can target and run ads to that area, and then slowly expand from there outwards. So start small, get the campaign dialed in, understand what the keywords are, and then start to expand the campaign. So targeting the right keywords is a big one. I always see either broad match, people like, I want to show up for lawyers. And so they just put the word lawyers and it's broadly matched. And so anything related to lawyers, anything at all, like the ad will trigger and the budgets just get chewed up and there's nothing left over for the people that are searching for the commercial kind of keywords. The next thing would be write compelling ad copies. A lot of people I see make the mistake of trying to sell their service in the ad. Now, you only have a limited number of characters in a Google ad. You don't want to use those characters to sell your service. The purpose of the ad is to sell the click. You're just selling people on the curiosity of clicking on your ad and coming to your website. So try and have something a little bit different, left of field, out there, attention grabbing, some kind of hook where if people are looking at all the other boring ads that say, we are personal injury lawyers Melbourne, personal injury lawyers Melbourne, we're the best, we've got 38 years experience, blah, 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 no one gives a shit. You want to search, you want to put something in there that's a little bit different. Anything, it can be, breaking news. Did you know that XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And it could have nothing to do with personal injury law, but it shows up when they search for personal injury lawyer because you've targeted that keyword. The ad pops up. It's got this random hook keyword in the title and it stops people in their tracks and they're like, what is that? And if the ad does a good enough job of, hey, before you even think about hiring a personal injury lawyer, you need to read this report. That's something that people are going to be like, oh, what is this? And it's enough curiosity in that copy for them to click on the ad, come to your site. Now you've got them on the page of your website. And at that point, you're selling the next step in the process, which is generally a meeting or something like that. And we're talking about services here. So sell the click. Don't try and sell your service. Also, understand what it is that your competitors' ads look like. Bunch of free tools out there. I mean, just use Google. Just do a Google search and see what your competitors are writing in their ads and write something completely different. Because as I said, if you're a consumer and you're looking and trying to figure out like, which ad am I going to click on? You can probably click on the one that's going to pique your curiosity the most and that it opens a loop in your mind that you need to close. And so you want to click on that ad to close the story loop. So hook, story, offer. I mentioned that in a previous podcast. You want to have a really tight hook. You want an attention-grabbing hook, a really great story that entices the user to take the next action, and a great offer, which helps that user take that next action as well. So you want to write compelling ad copy to sell the click. The next thing you want to do is where do you send that person after the click is really important. So after they've clicked on your Google Ads and they've come to your website, that's it. Your Google Ads campaign has done its job. That's all it had to do. It was just bring that user to your website. Then you need to craft a high converting landing page that's going to sell that user on the next step. That's beyond the scope of this podcast, but you need to make sure that the page that you create is selling them on the next step. And I'll do another episode on how to create a high quality landing page and again, pitfalls, tips, all that kind of stuff. But that's the other 50% of this equation. So the Google Ads campaign needs to just sell the user on the click and bring them to the website. And lastly, you want to track all of your results. Too often, people come to me with their Google Ad campaign and there's no conversion data or they haven't even set up Google Analytics. But generally, they have set up Google Analytics, but there's just no conversion data. So all you've got is just a bunch of clicks and impressions and costs and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, well, I don't know if this worked or not. There's no visibility into did that user convert? When they got to that landing page, did they submit a form? Did they make a phone call? Did they take the action that you wanted them to take? Setting that stuff up is really simple. Just need to think it through and understand what is it that I want to measure as a result. And it's probably going to be the contact. So it's either going to be a contact form submission or it's going to be the phone call. And there's some really cool stuff you can do with, phone tracking There's a company called Delicon. There's a company called CallRail. You can put those phone numbers on your website, and when somebody calls, it'll grab all the data associated with the caller, such as the campaign, the keyword, what ad they clicked on, what page of your website they called from. It'll record the phone call. It'll give you all that really great, rich data. So you'll know not only where the email submissions came from, but where did all my phone calls come from? Were they genuine phone calls? Go back and have a listen to the phone calls. Was it a genuine lead? Or was it just another marketing company trying to sell me something, or an IT company trying to sell me services, or something like that? That kind of tracking is essential to understand if your ad campaign's working or not. Because going back to my first original point of how much are you prepared to pay for a customer and how many leads does it take to get a customer, you want to know how much are we spending on Google Ads, and how many leads is that bringing us? Therefore, what are we paying to get a lead, and is that profitable or not profitable? Because if you're paying $20,000 to get one lead and you're only making a $10,000 sale, of which $2,000 is profit, that's not a good equation. You want to stop doing that because you're wasting money. It's unprofitable. So you need to know those numbers. Otherwise, you're just throwing money at Google with hoping and thinking, well, it's kind of working. I'm getting phone calls, but you don't know whether they're profitable or not. So track your results so you can make adjustments as needed. Things to avoid when running a Google Ads campaign. Budgets are too low. That's a big one that I see. So the budget's way too low and the keyword targeting is way too broad. So think about, you pay Google every time someone clicks on your ad. It's called cost per click, CPC. So every time someone does a search, they see your ad and they click on it, that's when you pay Google. If you're a service company or even a product company, you're probably paying double digits for that click. So you're probably paying more than $10 per click, because Google Ads is quite competitive nowadays. Lawyers, Melbourne, or say personal injury law firms, Melbourne, you're probably paying $40 to $50 per click. Now, the way that you set budgets in Google Ads is you set a daily budget, as you probably are aware, and Google will charge you every time you spend $1,000 or every 30 days, whichever comes first. So if you've only got set a budget of $50 a day, and the cost per click is $25 per click, which is not unreasonable. It's what you should expect to pay as a service-based company in a major metro area. You've only got enough budget for 2 clicks a day. That doesn't even cover probably your competitor or some accidental click. So if one competitor and one person who's kind of sort of interested but not really clicks on your ad, that's it. Your ad's gone until tomorrow. So you're done for the day. And competitors will click on your ads. So you need to make sure you have enough budget. And I would recommend budgeting for at least minimum kind of 5 clicks, preferably 10 to 15 clicks a day. If 1 in 10 people that come to your site becomes a lead, great. If 1 in 3, fantastic. But you want to budget for at least 5 to 10 clicks, preferably 10 clicks. So if the cost per click on average is $25, you want to be setting a budget of $250 a day, because you need to factor in those irrelevant clicks, bot clicks, all type of stuff. Google does their best, but not really, because the more clicks, the more money they make, to try and filter out that stuff. There are some tools that you can use which you overlay on your ad campaign. So there's a bunch of tools out there that you can plug your ad campaign into, and they will do their best to try to identify irrelevant clicks and then block those users from ever seeing your ad again. So if your competitor's searching you and clicking on your ad and chewing up your ad budget because they're pricks, you can use a piece of technology that will identify their IP address. It'll look at the activity and say, we think this is a bit of a dodgy user. You should block it. And you can just add that IP address to your blacklist and never show your ads to them again. And that just preserves your ad budget, because you want to, over time, be preserving that ad budget. And what I mean by that is, if the clicks are $25 per click and you got a budget of $250 a day, you want to try and reserve as much of that $250 daily budget to go towards the people that are most likely to become a customer, not all the other stuff. Now, another way you can do the preservation, so another thing or tip would be, use negative keywords. So in your Google ad campaign, when you target a keyword, so say personal injury lawyers, Melbourne, over time, there's a report that you can run in Google Ads called Search Terms Report. And that will give you the exact words, spelling mistakes and all, that users searched when clicking on your ads. the exact phrases and everything, right? It'll give you it all. So that data is really important, because every day you should be looking at that search term report and just making sure that all the keywords that are showing up there that people are searching and then clicking on your ads are relevant. If they're not, then you need to add them to the negative list. Classic example is jobs, salaries, things like that. So personal injury law firm jobs, personal injury lawyer salary. When you search personal injury lawyers Melbourne and somebody in Melbourne searches personal injury lawyers jobs, there's a potential for your ad to trigger and for them to click on it and look at your website because they're looking for a job. So they might want to reach out and send you their resume. You don't want those people chewing up your ad budget. So over time, you can put those things like jobs, salaries, anything else like studies, internships, whatever, put all that stuff on the negative list. So you can phrase match the word jobs so that anytime someone searches a keyword that's related to your keywords but has the word jobs in it, your ad's not going to trigger. So you're preserving as much of your ad budget as you can for the people that are genuinely your clients. And the negative keyword list is the best way to do that. You basically just say, hey, I don't want my ad to show up when anybody searches keywords with these keywords in it. What's another thing to avoid? I mean, creating a landing page that's not optimized for conversions is a massive one. A lot of the time I'll see people just sending Google Ads traffic to their homepage, and their homepage is just a mess of, this is who we are, this is what we do, we've been around since 1964, blah, blah. It's just garbage. So you want to send that traffic to a landing page specifically optimized for the next step in the sales process for that user. So if you're sending the traffic from an ad campaign, that ad campaign is generally going to have a theme. So you've got the way you would structure the Google ad campaign is you've got campaign level, you've got ad groups that sit underneath that campaign, so you can split up the target audience even further. So you might have your top level ad group might be Melbourne lawyers, and then under that you've got people who are searching for personal injury people, and then another ad group might be family lawyers, and another ad group might be criminal lawyers, because you offer all those services. And then within each of those ad groups, you're going to have keywords and ads that are specifically related to that user. So in the personal injury lawyers ad group, you will have a bunch of keywords that all relate to personal injury lawyers Melbourne, and a bunch of ads with ad copy talking all about personal injury lawyers and selling the user on that next step. And so that way, anybody who searches personal injury lawyer only sees the ads that are contextually relevant for the keywords that they search. They're not seeing ads from the family law campaign or the family law ad group or the criminal law ad group. They're just seeing it from the personal injury law ad group. So that's how you would segment up your user database when running the ads. And you want to send those users to a relevant page. So the personal injury lawyers, don't send them to your homepage. Send them to the personal injury lawyers page on your website. Send the people to family lawyers to the family lawyers page on your website. Send the users, and you segment it up as much as it makes sense. Send the users to a page that's relevant to the thing that they search, not a broad, generic, all-encompassing page that says, here's all the services we provide. Because it's not a great user experience. I don't want all your services. I want the one service that I provided. So if you can anticipate what those users are going to want to see on the next step, it's going to create a great experience for them, and they're more likely to go ahead and convert. And the other thing to avoid, I mentioned it before, is we see a lot of people not tracking their results. You absolutely have to track the results when it comes to Google Ads. What are some other tips? Using ad extensions. So there's a feature in Google Ads which allows you to put things like site links, shout outs, what else is it? Like service segments, a whole bunch of stuff. Look in the extension section and you can just increase the richness of your ad by adding additional information to that ad. So it sort of bulks it out a bit, and you can add in some great direct response stuff there, particularly with things like the call outs. You can really call out like the top 3 things, that most people would be struggling with. Call those things out. Use it, as I said, to create really great hooks, really great stories, really great offers, enough that it's going to separate you from the competition and get that user to your website. There's other things you can do, like dynamic keyword insertion in the ad is another good one. So you can write an ad, and part of the ad title, you can pull the user's search term into the title of the ad. So if a user searches personal injury lawyers Melbourne, and then the first thing they see is their keyword in the ad, along with some other great hook that kind of stops them in their track, because you can position where you want that keyword in the title I would probably recommend putting it towards the end and using the first part of the ad as a really great hook to stop people. But then when they see their keyword in the ad, it's like, oh, well, that's exactly what I was searching for. That's the most relevant thing. I will click that ad. So use dynamic keyword insertion. It's really great. Super easy to do when you're creating your ads as well. Things to avoid. What else have I got here on my list? Not using budget that's large enough to get your ads seen. I mentioned budget before. Not targeting the right people. So going too broad or targeting areas that are just too broad. Keep your area and location narrow, and also put on the areas that you don't want to target. So I've got a list of all the countries in the world in one big spreadsheet. I copy paste that, put it into every campaign, and I say, don't show the ads to users in these countries, which is every country in the world, except for Australia. That really helps to cut out a lot of the international traffic that may still leak through and get to your campaign, even if you've just set it up to show ads to people in or interested in your area. So other things would be, I'm just trying to think, keep an eye on your campaign daily. Just log in and have a look. Just click on things, look around, like check out the search term report every single day, see what's coming up. The quicker you get onto your search term report and put those irrelevant keywords on the negative list, the quicker you'll preserve your budget. It's all about preservation of budget, creating a good hook story offer to bring the user to the right page, and just developing a great user experience for people. So you anticipate what their questions are, you give them a really great offer, and you help them take that next step in the journey. So ultimately, you want them on the phone, having a conversation, or buying your products and services. Now, this podcast has really been focused around the services side of things. Products are a little bit different. Products, you can use Google's Merchant Center to go in and create a product suite and then run. Basically, you say to Google, here's all my products and services, and then Google takes all those images and content and everything, and then it runs shopping ads. So if you search for a product, whatever product it is, right? Like just go to Google and search for a particular product. Say pick a product from Bunnings and search for it. And you'll probably see like a bunch of tiles at the top of the search results page, which are the shopping campaign ads. And so they're a little bit different because you don't really have too much control over the copy when it comes to those kind of ads. They're still really great. And that's a whole different strategy compared to running what's called text-based search ads, which is what I've been discussing today, talking all about crafting copy and building ad campaigns for service companies. So that's it. That is some tips that I've learned over my decades of running ad campaigns for businesses. You want to really get an understanding of what are people searching, how much is the cost per click, so that you can set the right budget. Try and aim for 10 clicks a day. So whatever the budget is, so whatever the cost per click is for the keywords, times it by 10, and that should be your daily budget. That'll give you enough. Try and get some sort of protection over your campaign. So just Google keyword protection. There's a bunch of sites out there. PPC Protect, ClickCease, a bunch of others that you can use to plug in your ad campaigns. And they do a really great job of cutting out unwanted keywords. Make sure you're crafting great ads with good direct response copy. Google hook story offer and learn the fundamentals of how to create a good hook, a great story, and a fantastic offer, because they're going to be fundamental to getting people to come through to click on your ad and come through to your website. The other thing is make sure that the landing page you send them to is a really high quality, well-crafted landing page with direct response copy that gets them to take that next step. Because remember, these are people who already understand their problem generally. They already are aware of the solutions and they're just looking for a business to do business with. So don't waffle on too much on your landing page. Just cut straight to the point. Tell them this is how we do it. This is how we can solve it. This is what you need to do to take the next step and sell the next step. This is why you should give us a call. This is what you're going to get out of it. Create that really great hook story offer on the landing page, target it on the user and their search term and what they're trying to solve. And that will help them along, because people get annoyed at sites. And I'm the same. You go to a website and it's just banging on about how great they are. And we do this and we do that. And count how many times the word we is on the website compared to the word you, because they should be talking to you as the user and helping you move down that, down that buying cycle to that next action. Keep that in mind. The people that are coming to that landing page are very much in buy mode, ready to go. They just need to be nudged and taken on that journey. And that's it. If you have any questions, as always, just reach out to me. Happy to share any of my experiences working on ad campaigns and the things that I've seen, but that pretty much sums it all up. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.